to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm Leti.
I'm LB.
And we have a new Undisputed.
Yeah, Undisputed champ.
So we have Savannah Marshall out of the UK.
AKA the Silent Assassin.
Versus Franchon Crews-Dezurn out of Baltimore.
AKA the Heavy Hitting Diva.
All right. So we got done watching the fight. Tell me your thoughts because...
Man, so just right out the bat, if you didn't watch our previous video, I was happy that this fight actually got made. This was the fight that we both wanted to see after the Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall. So we're glad that this fight, came to fruition. It was an undisputed match. You had the best fighting the best. So right off the bat, I was excited and locked in. And then it was exactly what you expect from an undisputed fight. Both girls came to fight.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to kind of. I don't know how I feel about the fight. I was really excited about the fight when it was being made. I thought it was going to go different. Obviously, I had thought that Franchon was going to win the fight. But I thought that Franchon was going to come in different, or even both fighters. And to be honest, to me, it wasn't... I don't know that I'm going to say that this is one of my top favorite fights from them.
Yeah, okay.
I just feel like it wasn't that fight for me. I thought I was going to get more action from the fighters. There was boxing, but it's like every time there was a lot of holding and there wasn't much fighting on the inside. I get you come close, you want to, hold, but there was really no fighting on the inside and they were just coming in holding just a lot.
Yeah. Okay. There wasn't as many clean punches as I thought we were gonna see. If you watch Clarissa versus Savannah, it was a different type of match where there was clean shots, and there wasn't as much clinching. And to kind of talk about it a little bit, as I get into the fight. I will say this, Savannah Marshall did a good job of keeping Franchon Crews on the end of her punches. She did a good job of managing the distance, with her jab. Coming into this fight, I talked about Franchon Crews' overhand right, but it was actually Savannah Marshall. She was landing that overhand, and she was beating Franchon Crews to the punch. She definitely had the speed advantage over Franchon Crews. That's an advantage that she didn't have versus Clarissa. So you definitely can see that difference in that fight. And when it comes to Franchon Crews on the other side, she was working hard to get on the inside. But once she did get on the inside, I expected her to work more. Right. And had she worked more, I think you would be feeling a little bit differently about this fight.
Yeah, because I didn't see much in there. And Savannah, she was using her jab. You could tell she was using her reach as an advantage. Sure. I did think Savannah won the fight. I think it was clear that she won the fight. Yeah. I think Franchon started a little bit stronger in the first rounds, and then it just kind of died down from there. I thought I was going to get some good action in this fight. But again, Savannah managed to use her boxing skills. She landed some good, strong punches also on Franchon. It was... she won the fight, but again, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, or if I'm tripping, I'm bugging. You guys let me know what you guys thought down below, but it just wasn't, it didn't feed the soul for that fight.
Yeah, definitely it was. If you were going to compare it to the Clarissa and Savannah. Both
of them. Franchon and Clarissa fight compared to Savannah and also Clarissa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you were to compare that, it wasn't on the level of those. So I do hear what you're saying. And another thing about Franchon Crews is, she was really it looked like she was really trying to just land that overhand right and not really trying to set it up. And also the best, I feel like the best punch that she had the most success with was her left hook, but I felt like she really went away from that. Hats off to Savannah Marshall. She came out, she said she wanted to be a champion. She said she was hungry, and she came out here and proved all of that. All that she was talking about, she was, she did a good job of getting out of the way of that overhand right. And that's the overhand right that Franchon usually has no problem landing. So, hats off to her and her team. They did their homework and were prepared, and they went out and executed.
Yeah, and she had the stamina. I feel like more conditioned all the rounds, all the way to the 10th round. Yeah. Now, but I think we skipped the beginning of the fight.
I know. I was like, we can't get like that.
Straight to the fight. Well, look, I'm gonna start from the even with the other fights that we were watching, because they were showing them warming up in the rooms. Savannah and then Franchon. We saw Franchon warming up, you know, hitting the pads or whatever, and then they put Savannah on and we saw her working the pads, and then at that point I just kind of looked at it and I was like, ooh, Savannah might take the win. I just felt like she looked a little bit more loose, even as she was training before going out into the ring. She just did look a little bit more fluid.
And I mean, if you really want to say it, she probably looked more focused. She looked more focused too. I mean, go ahead. I know you're probably going to get to it. Go ahead.
Yep, because I just, Franchon, you know, shout out to her for going out to the UK again. I feel like, you know, I ain't never been in that situation, but, you know, going up and against another country where everyone is going against you, booing you, whatever. Yep. But she a woman of multiverse or whatever you call it, because, like many you said about being focused, but, you know, she came out there and she was singing.
Yeah, she sung the national anthem. When I saw her sing the national anthem, I was like, she about to, you did call it. And I'm like, she about to sing this before the, before the fight. I'm like, I don't know how it feels like when you in there or when you get ready, you know, for a fight of that magnitude. I'm like, damn, is that gonna mess with her breathing? You know what I'm saying? You know, she's trying to hold the notes. I'm like, hey,
and she did good. Shout out to you. She did good with the national anthem. She did good. But I would called it too before. I was like, watch her come out and start singing. And then when we seen that, I was like, damn, she did. So she gave us a little show before the fight. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that out of both of them, Savannah was the one that looked more conditioned throughout the fight, and it was clear that she won.
Yeah, and Savannah was the sharper fighter too. Her punches were a lot sharper, a lot more crisp. And when it came to the power, you could tell that, you know, she had the power advantage too when she landed. So, you know, definitely hats off to Savannah and becoming undisputed. You know, previously she was just a world champ. So that's a new accolade for her. She's now undisputed at super middle.
Yeah, and I mean, we gotta talk about what's next for her.
Oh, let's.
I'm gonna let you take over that. Let's see, because there was a lot of stuff going on in the press conference.
Yeah, so let's see, where do we start? Okay, so I mean, even before this fight, you know, everyone was talking about the rematch and everything. You know, the rematch with Claressa Shields. And even in the press conference, they were pretty much brought up that Claressa Shields for the rematch. And I'm gonna say this: Claressa, as the champion, undisputed, as pound for pound number one, went over there and became undisputed in the UK. Yep. She went over there in Savannah's home and beat her, and it was no
question about it.
There was no question about it. It wasn't a question of a fight. It was a clear win.
Absolutely.
Right. And so and Savannah, you know, she's been saying like, oh yeah, well, you know, let's get this rematch, let's get the super middle. And I'm like this, you know what? Claressa's the champ. You got it. It's on her terms.
Exactly.
It's on her terms. Exactly. So yeah, you know, I don't want to go to Detroit. Well, then I feel like, okay, well then you must not want that rematch. You don't want that rematch,
yeah. And she straight up said it, because Claressa was like, "They come to Detroit," and Savannah was like, "I'm not going to Detroit." You know?
And you know, people always say, you know, they get disrespectful. People get disrespectful when they be like, oh yeah, you know, she can't, you know, the women's boxing over there, you can't sell. I will say this. If it's a good match and it's put together, people gonna come out. And you know who showed that? Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor was where? It was at Madison Square Garden, okay?
In New York,
the Mecca. And it sold out and did great numbers. So yeah, maybe if it's not the right opponent, it's gonna be hard to sell, but that's even for the men too. Yeah. But look, opponents matter, and if you put Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall in the United States, it's gonna sell. So if you want that rematch, it's gonna be on her terms. And Claressa said already, like, hey, she already said, like, oh, I don't mind 168. So, you know, even though if she wanted to be at 160, you know, I feel like she can say that.
Right, but, which is what I found a little interesting. I'm like, wait, we got undisputed current fighters that it's always on their term where the fight is. You know, even like...
Anyway.
Even just toppling the little Charlo when he was going to fight Tim Tszyu, it wasn't going to be in... Australia, it was going to be in the States because he's the undisputed. So just kind of for her to even just say that, it's like, okay, like you say, you might not want that rematch that bad, because if you really wanted it, and you want to make legacy, then you would take that. You would take that. It's gonna sell. It's for Undisputed and a rematch.
Exactly. It was in a fight that everyone loved and was talking about. So when they do the rematch, you know, people are gonna come out. You know, like if it was in the States, we for sure gonna try to pull up.
Exactly. So let's just see what's gonna happen, because she seemed like she didn't want to go. And Priscilla was like, "Look, it's gonna be on my terms."
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? So that's kind of how I feel about the rematch. But there was something that else happened in that press conference that kind of that a little eyebrow went up. So they asked her promoter Ben Shalom, right? He said, "Oh, hey, so if it's not Clarissa, you know, what's next?" And he was like, the first thing that I don't want to mention any names, and I'm gonna tell you why. Is because there is a young, hungry lion that everybody knows about who's just waiting and dying for opportunity, and that is Shadasia Green. Okay? In my opinion, she's like the Jerron Boots Ennis of women's boxing. Fire. You know, she just hasn't had that opportunity to really showcase herself. But when you look at her, the eye test is all there. She's already been stamped by the GOAT. The GOAT did already, I think in an interview like a while back, she was like, yeah, you know, when it comes to these other fighters, I think she's like Shadasia is the one who can compete most with her on a skill level. And Shadasia Green, she got power. And one of the things I talk about all the time when it comes to women boxing is punch technique. I mean, when we talk about Alicia Baumgartner, I talk about how that right hand looks. And when you watch Shadasia Green, she got that good punch technique. She got a good jab, and you can tell she's a student of the game. So that's why I think he didn't want to mention any names, because she is the mandatory for Savannah now. And but I will say this: I was happy to hear Savannah after she fought. She mentioned Shadasia Green, and so I was excited. For that. So you know, so if the rematch doesn't happen, I would love to see Savannah Marshall versus Shadasia Green.
Okay. That will probably be in the UK.
And I'm gonna say this too. Also, you know, and if the rematch does happen, I wouldn't mind Shadasia Green versus Franchon Crews, for the simple fact of they got history. She's been calling out Franchon for the longest, and before this Savannah Marshall fight got announced, the sanctioning bodies sanctioned, you know, they pretty much said that was going to be the fight. It's going to be Franchon versus Shadasia Green, and I got excited for it. So, but you know, it ended up being this fight. So I wouldn't mind that them finally, you know, getting in the ring together. And you know, so there's a lot of fights out there, fights to be made. Women's boxing is in a great place. Look, we just talked about the new up and coming in Shadasia, you know, and it's another fight where the best are fighting the best. And you know, since I mentioned Shadasia, I got to throw out another UK up and coming women's fighter. Shadasia's not from the UK, but the up and coming fighter that I mentioned to you that I can't wait to see is Caroline Dubois. She another up and coming fighter out of the UK, and I wish I could see a lot more of her fights here in the States, but you know, she's promoted in the UK, but she's another up and coming that, you know, everyone need to be on the lookout for. So but yeah, women's boxing is in a great place. You know, just boxing in general has been making good matchups. So yeah, I just can't wait to see, you know, to see what fights get made next.
Yeah, we don't have to wait and see.
But yeah, that's all we got. Let us know below how you guys saw this fight, or who you guys want to see him get matched up with next. But that's all we got. So thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit. And